Thanksgiving is supposed to be a joyous time, but it turned into holiday horror for one Palm City couple.
Yeah, two dropped off their two healthy flat coat retrievers at a local boarding facility while they flew out of town to see family. And the dog stayed for a short time, just 48 hours, and it ended with one of them dying after the visit and the other needing hospitalization. And as our Danny Travis reports, an investigation is now underway to find out if criminal charges are needed. So Danny, what happened here?
Yeah, that's right, Matt and Sam. I want to show you, this is Mako and this is Marlon, looking happy as ever before this incident took place. And now the Santos family tells me this incident was a, quote, unspeakable and unnecessary tragedy. That's why they're working to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else's pets.
I never would have left him anywhere where I thought he wasn't going to be cared for. Never.
Overwhelming grief, guilt, and rage. That's what Adele and Dan Santos say they feel after picking up their two dogs at Positively Paradise Dog Training after being boarded for just 48 hours over Thanksgiving.
I don't know how I forgive myself, honestly. I just feel like I can't believe I'll never see him again.
2-year-old Mako and 7-year-old Marlon were described as very happy and healthy before being dropped off the day before Thanksgiving. But when Dan went back to the facility to pick up the dogs that Friday, Mako was found unresponsive with yellow fluid coming out of his mouth.
Didn't want to upset me, so said there's something really wrong with Mako. We need to get him to the ER right now. Marlon's not well also.
Mako and Marlon were quickly rushed to pet emergency and admitted for evaluations. They say it took less than 5 minutes for a doctor to pronounce Mako dead, even saying he could have already been dead for almost an hour.
I can barely think straight. I loved that dog.
Marlon was also treated for severe dehydration from excessive heat and a bacterial infection on his paws.
You are so sweet, buddy. You are the sweetest. Okay.
Adele tells us she was in constant contact over text with Positively Paradise owner Nikki over the 48-hour stay. She shows CBS 12 News text exchanges between her and Nikki from that Friday before the dogs were picked up.
And she said, hey, just checking in for ETA tonight. Marlon's having a great time. Mako's having a little hard time adjusting. They've done well.
When in fact, the dogs were not well. After the Santoses confronted Nikki about the death and several unanswered calls later, they showed me that Nikki only sent one text after that.
Then she said, I can assure you we took the best possible care of him. And he was walking around the house normal-ish about 30 minutes ago, but he has been less active today.
CBS 12 obtained the incident report filed by the Santoses with the Martin County Sheriff's Office that same day. The next day, the report says animal control, quote, attempted to do a welfare check on the other animals at the boarding facility, but was unable to access the property due to a locked fence gate. I attempted to contact Nikki by phone several times with negative results. That Sunday, deputies returned.
Looked at all the other animals that are there, made sure there's no other dogs in distress there, and we have issued some citations simply because there's not water in all the pet cages out there.
It's been a week and a half since the incident, and Deputy Chief John Budenseek says they had only spoken with Nikki on the phone, and she hasn't come forward in person.
You know, the more you hide from what has happened and the more you don't take responsibility, the more suspicious we become. It would be helpful if she would just cooperate with us.
It's a feeling Adele says no dog owner should ever have to feel. That's why they're making sure this doesn't happen to anyone else by filing the incident report.
The sense of loss is, it's real. I mean, I know he was a dog, but he was our baby. And there's nothing we can do to bring him back except try to make his death have some sort of meaning.
And that's exactly what they're working to do. And CBS 12 did try to call Nikki several times at the number listed on Positively Paradise's website. And after a few calls, Nikki did text me back saying just to text her, but we never heard back from her after that. Sheriff's officials say a full necropsy is being performed on Mako to get a better answer for just how he died, and those results aren't expected for another few days. And officials say it'll determine if they move forward with criminal charges or not.
We begin with CBS 12's Lena Salzbank with how law enforcement is working to combat the spike in crime in West Palm Beach.
Lights and sirens filled the streets along Broadway and 54th Street on Monday afternoon as law enforcement rushed to the area.
Officers arrived on scene. They found a man suffering from a gunshot wound. He was taken by West Palm Beach Fire Department to St. Mary's Medical Center, where he subsequently died from his injuries.
The deadly shooting is the most recent in a slew of violent crimes seen across the city over the last couple of months.
The neighbors in the North End have expressed interest to have an effort to reduce crime there. So Chief Adderley implemented a plan over the last several months where we've had detail officers dedicated to street crime.
Red and yellow tape shutting down this neighborhood to anyone that's trying to make their way through, except for law enforcement. Police are going door to door, asking anyone if they have any information about the shooting. Police say the suspect in that shooting ran from the scene, and around that same time, Riviera Beach stopped a man that appeared to be running from the scene as well. But investigators have yet to connect him to the murder. John Petro works just blocks away from where the deadly shooting occurred. The 89-year-old businessman opened his store 67 years ago and says not much has changed, but he keeps his store secure.
My customers in here know that we treat them correctly. You act up, then I call the police.
That's because years ago, the violence did get to him.
We got held up one time 30-some years ago, so we built this.
What is it?
It's bulletproof.
Bulletproof glass surrounds John, but so does a rifle and a way to stop customers from getting in and out.
I'll let you in, but you can't get out until I buzz it. That's a bulletproof door.
Police say they will continue to combat crime in the city, and if any residents in the area know any information about this shooting, they're asked to call police. In West Palm Beach, Lena Salzbank, CBS 12 News.
It was also a violent weekend on the Treasure Coast. In just a 24-hour span, 2 people were killed in Stuart. The day of the shootings, when they started Saturday morning, it ended Saturday evening when a husband and wife were killed just steps from their front door. CBS 12's Victoria DeCardenas has more on that story and what neighbors saw.
Henry and Ginger Wallace, both 81 years old, were shot to death right here, just steps away from their home at Cedar Point Village. The person who shot them lived directly above them. And one neighbor we spoke to says shots rang out after an argument over this laundry door.
Oh my God, is that really them? And to think we will never, ever see them again.
That was neighbor Diana Bose's reaction when she opened her front door Saturday, finding her neighbors Henry and Ginger Wallace in their own blood after being shot to death.
Super, super nice couple. My husband and I never had any bad words to say about them.
Upstairs neighbor 75-year-old Hugh Hootman pulled the trigger. Stuart police quickly responded, and the Martin County Sheriff's Office took him into custody. In an affidavit, the shooting revolves around this laundry door. Days prior, Henry confronted someone in Hootman's apartment for leaving this door open. Neighbor Diana says the HOA asked residents to keep that door closed to keep pests out. Henry's wife, Ginger, is the president of the HOA. On Saturday, Hootman confronted Henry and said he needed to apologize about that confrontation. Henry tried to walk away, but Hootman told deputies he lost his temper, and that's when Diana heard the shots.
And it just blows my mind that they were shot and killed over a laundry room door.
Hootman shot Henry twice, and when Ginger came out to see what was going on, he shot her as well. Diana says Ginger had just put out these Christmas decorations that weekend, and she said she was looking forward to spending the holidays with family.
And I thought, oh, what a horrible way to spend Christmas. Instead of enjoying Christmas with your parents, you end up planning a double funeral.
Hootman has since apologized for shooting the Wallaces, but Diana says it's too little, too late.
I find that a poor excuse because it still doesn't bring them back. It doesn't put the bullet back in the gun that he shot. It doesn't make them alive for their children.
Neighbors have already started a memorial outside of the Wallace's apartment with a note that says, "Life is eternal. May Henry and Ginger have life together in eternity." Now, the Martin County Sheriff's Office is investigating this case, and tonight Hootman is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.